pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any conflicts of interest with today's agenda?
Sure.
Agenda will stand as written, reading of minutes.
May sixth, 2025, the Board of Supervisors met at 9 a.m. with Dave Mulbar, Chair presiding, members present, Schultz, Dozark, Mulbar, Hayden, and Rossberg. Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved. The board approved the hiring of Jacob Famo, and John Fenley, seasonal park help. Hakeem Dorian, seasonal conservation park help, and Gianna Garcia and Jana Peterson. Excuse me, seasonal naturalist intern, conservation department. David Gress addressed the board and the engineer's office about the concerns on O Avenue, the grading of the road causes a curve in the water ponds. We would like it to be an A grade road. Grade A probably, but A grade road. During citizen input, Roger Rasmussen, sheriff, spoke with the board briefly about his budget. 10:26 a.m., a motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Dozark, to open the closed session for Iowa Code 21.5 subsection C, which allows for closed session pending or imminent litigation. Motion passed unanimously. 11:05. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Rossberg, to close the closed session. Motion passed unanimously. At 11:07, a motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Rossberg, to open the closed session for Iowa Code 21.5 subsection C, which allows for closed session pending imminent litigation. I think we need to amend that to actually state who was allowed to be in that closed session, because I don't want it presumed that I was there
Or I was there.
or that Jean was there. So I think we need to clarify that. So we will amend that before you
I would
all.
agree, because I think that even the motion named the names, right?
Well, I know I noted the names, but I don't know. I wasn't in here for the motion, so I don't know that
We
the
don't know who
motion.
else.
The motion
There was
did
other
include
people in
that.
there.
Be on the other, that'd be Marcus probably.
Right.
I don't know. It should have been on mine too. No, because motions happen on this notebook, not in closed session.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah, I do.
so we're gonna amend it. We're gonna change this so that it includes the names. So just so I know, so I can ask Megan to put it in here. It was Kyle and Craig and Dave and Ty and Colin and Martha and Jack Reed.
Correct. Yes.
Jack via Zoom, right? Or via phone call.
Via phone call.
Okay.
Yes.
So Martha took notes. Is that what I understand? Okay. I just want to make sure I understand that.
Or if they're they call it recording.
Yeah, so, I'm gonna keep reading. We'll get Megan to add the names so that it's clear to the public and to anybody else that looks at
Right,
this.
that needs to be clarified.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. So pending litigation is the reason for the closed session. Motion passed unanimously at 12:43 a.m. It was PM. We'll make it PM. A motion was made by Dozark. Seconded by Rossberg to close the closed session. Motion passed unanimously. On motion duly seconded, board adjourned at 12:45 PM. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday, 4:30 PM, preceding the next meeting. So we'll adjust that. We're gonna make a list quick first.
Yeah, usually we do make it out of here by an AM, but.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding. Dave. Ty. Colin. Martha.
We do. Two, it's only every about 250, right? Or 110,000. We do option one.
Oh,
Is that what I'm reading?
I'll be right back.
Option one, or option one. We just,
Option one is to divide.
that's, how I'm understanding it. Anybody else on the basement? Is it either 110,000 or 22,000? Option one or option two?
Is that where we're cooling the machines?
you think option one is those two
No, that's
combined,
the-
69 and the
There's
35,
Air conditioning
and option two is just that 11,000?
It isn't for that little room at the,
No, it's just chief's office.
oh, for down there, PD.
Yeah, it looked like you can fix it for 22,000 or we can replace it all for 110,000.
Well, I know what my wallet says,
Especially
22,
with what we got going on, we don't.
you don't need a lot more.
I know.
If it's fixable and it ain't something we'll be fixing again next year, I'm okay with.
Well, it's got a 10-year
Sorry
guarantee.
about that.
On the 22?
Yeah.
Well, that's a no-brainer at this point. You need like-
They might want to have that clarified, but that's how I read it. I mean,
Right, I would think we need to get it clarified. I would agree.
If there's a 10-year warranty on the repair work, I mean, on the new, I could see that. For sure, that better be, but repair work, like,
would this be a. That'd be a
What are you
Dave
talking
question or you question or.
What do you got?
this Basement AC proposal, I mean, is it 110,000 to replace?
No.
Or the 22,000 to fix it? Or do we put all new in and it's 110,000?
So the first line, the 69,000
Yep.
is for the VRF with heat recovery that it talks about up above.
Okay,
The second line, the 35,000 is like for like. So it's a new system, like what's currently down there,
okay, like for like. all right,
like for like.
Okay,
And then the third line, which is an additional 11,000, that would be a mini split in the comm center. So the choices are you do line one, new system, completely VRF. You do line two, like for like, 35,000. Or you do line two and three, like for like, and add a mini split in the comm center. Because
Okay.
currently, it's not well ventilated in the comm center, is what I understand. I don't know.
And when it says number two, and then 11,000, that mean we need two of them, so it's 22,000, or we just,
No.
what does that mean?
It says total investment to supplement dispatch in option
Oh,
number
in
two.
option number two. one
Yeah,
above.
and the one up
Okay,
above
okay,
it.
All right.
Yeah, so
Thank you
it's
for the
either
clarity.
69,175 or 35,200 or 46,450.
So is mini splitter the only way to go anymore? It
Seems
seems
like
like
it.
mini
I would
splitter
agree.
is everything.
Yeah, it's, yeah,
Pretty
I have one in my living room and I love it.
they're very efficient.
Okay,
Yeah,
Easy,
especially when you have like a very specific space that you're trying to either heat or cool or
working on a
both.
building where hard to run duct work and stuff like that, it's just throw any split in and it's basically a window air conditioner heater base,
Or you,
glorified.
without having to have a window.
it always has to be on that outside wall, right?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
so.
You got part of it that's on the
Well,
outside, part that's on. the
I have
inside.
one that's in the middle of my house. It splits. There's one in my living room and one in my bedroom, and they actually are on the same wall, but in opposing rooms.
Yeah.
And then my system is outside the house. It's kind of a tall thing that does,
It's like having your regular air conditioner. It's a little compact unit outside. Them are about that wide.
right.
Yeah, oh yeah, see the one.
Plus I have a thermostat in my
There we go.
hallway that regulates the rest of my house too,
It's gonna be the whole thing.
so.
And then the thing I have on the inside is about the same size, it's just got.
So what budget does that all come out of?
That would be capital, and it will not be this year.
Will not be this year.
Oh, no.
Well, to me, it looks.
There's too much unknown about what's going on yet this year in the next 6 weeks. I don't feel comfortable like adding 69,000 or more.
To me, it looks like
onto
the way
it.
to go then, if it's the 69,000 or 40. But you get it all,
69's all new.
all new, or you get, well, either one's gonna be all new, but The other one's gonna be kind of a piecemeal together, maybe the way it sounds to me.
Will the new one do better for the comp center too?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
So what's
Yeah.
in the comp center now?
I don't know.
I really don't know, but
Don't know.
it seems like when I am in, have been in there, it is stuffy in there. I will agree with that. I've never heard anybody.
So it's in the comp center not that long ago. I was trying to think.
I guess when I was in there, I just assumed maybe that's how they like to keep it in there. So
Warm.
Warm.
Couple of ladies in there.
It seemed warm to me, but when I went to visit my mom the other day for Mother's Day, I walked in the house like,
I know.
that's how she likes it.
Oh, I like it too.
No,
Reach his own.
yeah,
Yep.
that's why I
Right.
just assumed.
Well, hopefully the two gals in there agree that
And we do have it on the agenda down
we used to have to do
to discuss and take action.
Yep.
it.
You wanna hold up to be a little bit before?
Yeah, it'll be a little bit. So it's, I mean, it's up to you.
Okay. No, that's, we'll hold off on approving the minutes till they get corrected. Going to supervisor reports. Kyle?
And one thing really notable I had last week was conservation board meeting last Wednesday. They, as of last Wednesday, they only had 4 campers at Nelson's Park for the year so far. They're contributing a lot of that to the bridge closure on Highway 30, so after a lot of discussion, they came up with, trying to entice people out there and offering free camping on Fridays for May and June, and it might extend longer if the bridge is closed longer. They asked me, and I said, well, last update we were told was 2 months yet on the bridge closure, but so, who knows? You know, weather permitting, so they're gonna do that, try to entice more campers to at least take the longer trip to go around there, so. Which I think might help.
That starts the right away.
Yeah, it started immediately, so
Is that just at Nelson?
just at Nelson, just they're calling it bridge closures.
Or how are they getting it out there?
They were gonna put it on their
Was
website.
it on Facebook too, I saw maybe?
Okay.
I don't remember where I saw it.
Because I haven't seen it anymore, but
I don't know if they were gonna put it on radio, they were gonna take care of getting it out there. I've been spreading the word.
Yeah, Shane, somebody
I
remind
mean,
me.
I think it'll work. At least help anyways, you gotta work for shot.
Right.
And all the upgrades we did out there, and they're kind of concerned that nobody's using what you do. But they did say a lot of people from the Omaha, Council Bluff area come back, so I don't know, they haven't painted me up this year or not. Chris went ahead and ordered some of the equipment already. And, some of it's actually here already, but they're on the same deal with Paul, and they're not gonna get paid till after July 1st. That's about it. It was a pretty short meeting. Some of the new hires they're working with, actually a program with Job Corps, I think those 3 were, that we approved last week are part of the program with them. And I think it'll work out, but, they have some reservations that, they, just that, I think they were scared that they didn't want to screw up right away, they were just kind of really, just told them they needed to relax a little bit, what I took out of it,
is the rate of pay the same then?
Yep, they have the same salary as
So,
anybody
and
else.
then the kid gets to keep all the money, Job Corps doesn't take a share of that or? You're aware of.
Not that I'm aware of, no, but, it's just, and I think, that's probably a good idea, I open a few more doors for other, that works out with other employers in the county to have this part-time help for, it's a good thing to get out, I think, there's places like that looking for these job placements. Hope it works out. I didn't know that was even an option, Bill, it was a good deal.
A different career field for them to explore,
Something to look at.
I guess Propane Hank is the one that told Mike Peterson about it. That's how Chris got a hold of it and kind of inquired about it. So but he has them up, they haul them, they drop them off. So he takes them up to Battle Creek every day to work up there at the Johnson Propane.
I mean,
I think if anybody's interested, you just contact them, but there's some steps they gotta come out and approve the work facilities and stuff like that. Make sure you're not doing slave labor or something like that, but, you know. It's a good deal, I think. Nice workforces are around.
That's for sure.
No, Steve Hall was thinking. The Hollow Arch Hog Barns. Spent like 40 hours.
That's what he told me.
Yeah, but, you know, other than that. About it.
Craig?
I didn't have anything, last week as far as any meetings were concerned. I do have a couple things that are non, board reports related. But, and that's just a request from, I guess to you, Dave, is that I do know why Board of Supervisors went from 3 to 5 members in 1957. I do know the reason why, but, the story is not over yet. I haven't found the end of the story. And so I don't want to tell it until I get to the end. And kind of like, you know, when you watch a movie or something and it ends, you go, I don't want it to end there. I want it to end at the
Okay.
end.
We will wait.
And so, I'm not there yet, but Dave, I just request from you is that I don't do it during supervisor reports because I don't want to infringe on your guys' time. So if we have a meeting that is short, you know, relatively short and after citizens input, it's just gonna take me probably 15 minutes to tell the story.
I'll still listen.
And, like I said, I've got to the story, you could say starts in 1948, but it really starts in 1952 is when the story really starts. And I'm to 1957 and I'm not to the end yet. So, very interesting story.
We will wait.
But, so I definitely will have it done
So is
by.
this what they call that teaser?
I think so.
I'm hoping to get a whole bunch more people on. But I want to do it when it's
It's
recorded.
like
I
Paul
guess
Harvey.
just in case somebody, the rest of the story, right? Just in case someone wanted to hear it, they can always go back to the date and listen to it.
And that's when we went from 3 back to 5.
3 back to 5. And I did have something else too, which I thought just fascinated me and has absolutely nothing to do with the, with board of supervisors, and even with Crawford County, but it's fascinating. But this is just a genetic engineering company working to bring back the woolly mammoth, has brought back one of its extinct ice age cohabitants, the dire wolf. Dallas-based biotech company Colossal Biosciences revealed the recent successful birth of 3 dire wolf puppies, a major step improving the viability of the company's, quote, de-extinction technologies and its potential use in bringing back other species. The dire wolf was native to the Americas during the late Pleistocene and early Holocene epochs 125,000 to 10,000 years ago. Our team took DNA from a 13,000-year-old tooth and a 72,000-year-old skull and made healthy direwolf puppies, said Colossal CEO and co-founder Ben Lamb. Lamb and George Church, a biologist at Harvard Medical School, founded Colossal in 2021 with the goal of bringing back the woolly mammoth. Since then, the private company, valued at about $10 billion, has expanded its plans to include the de-extinction of the Australian thylacine, which was the Tasmanian tiger, and the dodo bird.
That reminds me of an article I started reading and my phone rang and I missed it. Where they took a bunch of beavers to a desert. It's gone. I don't know where they were, I don't know what, I didn't get a finished reading.
Now,
so I
30
can't
years
say
ago,
anything.
when we started watching Jurassic Park, that's actually,
Yeah,
That's where they're at.
that's where they're at.
Yeah.
You know, we keep finding we keep mimicking our technology after Star Trek. Now we're also making animals after.
but they said the dire wolf, is not even a close cousin to the gray wolf. They said it's like comparing a human to a chimpanzee, that I guess the dire wolf was a little bit larger than the gray wolf. And, but they couldn't,
Like a horse and a
Yeah,
donkey.
right.
A mule.
right.
Craig, you are definitely our historian.
Our historian.
Officially.
But I just found that story. I didn't know if you guys had heard about that at all or not, but I was just like, wow, that is
Well,
fascinating.
in the green wolves, there was some spotted in Crawford County, at least one spotted in Crawford County this spring plant. Or,
Really?
in the rickets.
I wonder where my cats were all going.
Well, you know, back in the late 1800s, when they used to pay $2 a wolf, I mean, they paid over 200 and some dollars one year. So there were over 100 wolves killed in Crawford County 100 years ago.
Very much.
Well, they like to hunt in a pack, and a calf is an easy target. I'm sure
That's all I got, Dave.
I really look forward to hearing how that story turns out, because I think that's always good for people to know how we are to where we're at today.
Maybe call Eric.
And it's got
Scoot.
nothing to do with gravel.
Okay, well then, I definitely wanna have Eric Scoot come in for this thing.
right,
He's the one
very
who's been
good.
saying this-
The gravel deal.
the gravel deal.
Oh. We
Okay,
do have our minutes back corrected.
yeah, so at 11:07 AM, a motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Rossberg to open the closed session per Iowa Code 21.5 subsection C, which allows for a closed session pending or imminent litigation. Motion passed unanimously. In attendance for the closed session were Schultz, Dozark, Mulbauer, Rossberg, Colin Johnson, Jack Reed via phone, and Martha Sibyl took notes for the closed session. At 12:43, a motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Rossberg to close the closed session. Motion passed unanimously. Is that appropriate for
Yes.
y'all?
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, awesome. Is there any further discussion or corrections on the minutes? Minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, that was everything.
That's it.
I'll make it quick. I did have read you 12 last week. Went over fiscal report, local assistance report, transfer report, executive director report, went over some of our vouchers. Pretty much business as usual. Then I also had a text from Jamie Cashman this morning. I shared that with you. He said, "Good morning. Well, after a long night of debate yesterday, the Senate passed banning eminent domain for carbon capture pipelines. It now goes to the governor."
I heard that this morning. I was thought of Cindy right away. And what a great win for the state.
Yeah.
On that. Eminent domain is not met
Cindy has her
private
hand up.
industry gain, so.
Cindy has her hand up.
Okay, I'll get to you here, Cindy, but I will say he did mention that it was a pretty intense and nasty debate.
Yeah. Well,
To get to that point. So, but good thing that it got to where it's at. I
Yeah.
agree with you, Kyle. That's what needed to happen at a state level. Cindy, go ahead.
I was gonna wait to citizen input, but since you're talking about it, I just want to set it straight. The bill that got passed yesterday, House Bill 639, had nothing to do with eminent domain. The House Bill 943, which we tried to get amended onto that was the eminent domain portion. So I can go through later what the bill actually did contain that was passed last night. Later, I can do that later during citizens input.
Let's
But
do
there's
that during-
I'm sorry.
No, I want to hear your clarification on that because I just was going off what I was text from ISAC and there wasn't.
Yeah, it's kind of on the internet too about this eminent domain and everybody's saying, well, where is this coming from? But I think it was because this is Steve Holt's bill, the 639 that got passed, okay? But when it went to the Senate, Senator Busolo tried to change it all. He basically struck everything that Steve had and put in a brand new bill that would have stopped eminent domain for carbon pipelines after the Summit project was done. Summit would not be impacted, but any company after Summit would. So, and then he had other things in it that it would address all like transmission and everything. It was like a 36-page bill, excuse me. And that got voted down, the amendment. And then after another, we were there all day and I can't even tell you how long they were actually in session. They were basically in caucusing most of the day. But what got passed then was, like I said, 639. And 639 in brief, it adds, it was a good bill, but it really did nothing for eminent domain. So it added liability protections for landowners. It clarified who had the right to intervene at the IUC hearings because during our hearing for phase one, only the landowners were able to testify. You could be a neighbor within 50 feet of the pipeline and you were not allowed to intervene or to testify. And then it requires the IUC attendance at hearings or informational meetings. Because some of the informational meetings for phase two had no IUC members there, just a staff member and Summit. And then it also stops the IUC from issuing fines to interveners, which I was threatened with because I intervened on a docket for another county. And it wasn't just me, several landowners did in support of the landowners in that county. And we were threatened with having fines with us because we submitted it to the docket. So it would stop that. And then it would limit a carbon pipeline to only a 25-year permit with no renewals. And then the last one, it clarified the definition of a common carrier. So none of that, anything to do with eminent domain. But I understand how people got that because it was so convoluted with the amendments trying to put on there. I tell you, our government is just, I never cease to learn more and more, and I'm not really impressed, to tell you the truth. But anyway, so that's the bill that got passed last night, and it passed 27 to 22, but don't quote me on that. Senator Schultz voted against it. So he didn't vote for any of these protections for this bill, which I was really shocked at because, when I talked to him last, he was really supportive of the landowners and the things in this bill, even though it wasn't eminent domain. So anyway, I'm sorry to take up the time in this portion of your meeting, but I was going to wait to citizens' input.
Thanks for kind of bringing us back to earth on this, Cindy. I was really excited for you. I mean, I still am for some things, but I thought that was kind of closing the door on what you and others have been battling for so long here for, Cindy, but I guess the fight kind of still goes on, so.
It does, and I appreciate that. I will say, they say that 943 is not dead because Steve Holt is not real happy about that not going through as well. And I don't know all the things that they can do, but apparently there's going to be, it's not dead yet, but I'm not at liberty really to say plans. So anyway, thank you.
I'm glad you were there. I'm glad you filled us in with that details.
We'll wait to hear more too, Cindy. So I was just looking at my chain of emails yesterday too. There was a lot going on yesterday, a lot, so.
There was a lot, and a lot of people showed up at the Capitol, so, which was nice to see too.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Hang on to citizens' input. We'll finish it up. How's that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Gene?
Okay, didn't we have an IT meeting last week?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. I thought maybe I was a week off. We had an IT
Sure.
meeting.
I was there.
Yeah, it was. But I was amazed at how many applications we had. We each took a group of them and went through and kind of had maybe piles, no piles, just piles. And at the end, our number one, I think, was unanimous. Everybody had the same person that we liked. And as we went through them, we ended up with 4 very good applications, I believe. Very promising. And so we went forward with that. We also asked for more information as far as, with Corey and how that's all working. And Martha took the lead on reaching out to Corey to see how things are going. The concern that we would have, correct me at any time if I'm not right, is if we don't have that in-staff person, that we might not have the 5-year plan of what we need to keep current, that we would, that's something that's very important to us to make sure that we know what we're needing and be planning for it, not get caught up and get behind again. So those are the things that are important to us, but it's a good meeting and so I was amazed how many applications. We
Was
had.
your report with Corey things are going well?
I don't even know if I had a chance to read the
Yeah,
last
yes,
set of emails. Sorry about
and
that.
he could, do what he does for the students, so he'll report back. I think, when are we gonna have our next meeting? I think we should do it more than once a
I think
month.
we've, right, I think we just kind of scheduled, we were gonna wait to see if we got more applications to come in and
right?
And to
And I-
see if the-
so I reached out to the four
Okay,
and they're all interested in interviewing.
that was our
Um,
next step.
So I wasn't sure about as far as,
We were gonna reach out to, the lead guy on our,
oh, Joel Roney.
to.
Yeah,
to
I'll
have
do
him
that
kind of look
next.
those over to see if he was familiar with any of them, to see if, he had a preference
that
or
next.
something, you know,
We
any
need to call any of their,
references.
yeah,
I
references,
Martha-
and I don't know who wants to do
Is
that.
it Martha gonna do?
Was she gonna do that? I can't remember. I couldn't remember, so.
Yeah, but yeah, it went well. So we've got, I was expecting our normal, just a couple of people from, overseas, you know, but
Yeah,
actually had some local
Yeah.
We
people.
probably had 20,
we had like,
25.
I think we had 19 from Indeed. We had, yeah, probably 5 or 6 that were just like emails directly to me.
Yeah,
And probably 5 or 6 that were pretty local, like
yeah,
Dunlap, Denison,
was Wall Lake one?
yeah,
You narrowed it down to 4.
4.
Yeah, just, you know, that's our first go round. If that, you know, we can always go back for a maybe pile. There was a maybe pile also that, but the thing about looking at IT applications is there's so many things that these people do that mean nothing to me, you know? They're, you know, from what they all know, and I mean,
Right.
lists of what programs they're all familiar with and.
I mean, right, and good thing you brought that up, Gene, I guess, because one of the things also is, I think, Terry was gonna talk to the department heads, just to see how the relationship is going with Corey's company. Because, you know, initially in the process, they all said that they wanted to make sure that we hired a new IT guy. And we thought, well, we should see how things are progressing with
Right.
Corey to see if it's changed their mind at all. And then Martha sent an email to Corey stating some concerns or where are we at with this stuff, and Corey responded very quickly and said, yes, if you guys want this to be a long-term relationship, I certainly can do planning.
Yep.
As part of the, my responsibility that I do, I can do that if you want me to.
Yep.
And so at least we have options
Right,
as to what we want to do. I mean, originally, I think was it a 6-month contract we signed with
I
Corey?
think so.
I think so.
yeah.
That's correct. So,
I think that now that the department heads get to see how the response is with Dylan being right here in Denison, you know, there were some good examples of people calling and he was just right down the way and got here probably faster possibly than Jake could have even gotten up here.
Right.
I was impressed with this last week that when Zoom wasn't working and we had a kid on the table with a ladder getting it all hooked up.
Pretty fast.
Yeah, I don't think you can ask for more. And I think that in the beginning, the concept of somebody not being here every day, you know, would alarm some people thinking if I can't make my computer work and there's nobody here, what am I gonna do? I have to have this computer today. And I think when they see how this has gone for the last how many months, they may be able to rethink that, looking at the savings for us as far as
Right.
having a full-time, you know, benefits and all that goes with that, to pay for just the services that we need, but make sure we're getting the services that we need. So,
because from a cost perspective, Corey had submitted bills, I believe, for the last 3 months, or was it just 2 months? But what his contract fee is and the hours that he has contracted, and prorated that over a 12-month time period, would be costing us $75,000. And certainly, by the time you put Jake's salary, benefits all together, that's be well over 100,000. There's some things that, you know, we need to look at.
yeah. So, I thought it was a very positive meeting and I think that we're moving in the right direction and,
Was there any candidates that maybe stood out that would be comparable maybe to taking on the attorney and the sheriffs and all that stuff too?
I
with
think
Martha
so.
being in here, that really is beneficial because she knows what it is they need and with her in that interviewing process, I think that that's gonna help make sure that if we get it narrowed down, that we'll be able to maybe combine all of those different services. So
That's what we really start making,
that's why.
really compounding that savings that we were able to.
I mean, it is kind of, like Gene said, Gene and I are we are the 2 oldest members of the board of
Continue to point
supervisors.
that out constantly.
And it's a little bit intimidating when they list all
It
the
was.
skills that they can do, and you're like, I don't even know what that is.
I don't even know what
know
it
what
is.
that is.
Yeah,
I don't even know
yeah.
what
The
that is,
list
but it
of the
seems like it
different-
must be pretty important from an
Yeah, yeah,
IT standpoint, because they put it on there and they're the IT people.
I mean, it was pages of things they're
Right.
proficient in and that they,
Yes.
that just words I can't even say.
Right.
So.
But Martha she's pretty tech
Yes, she
savvy,
is. She.
so it's
is.
good having her on the board.
It really is. I wanted to point that out.
Right.
So, yeah, so that.
So me and Jean do our best.
We do, but we agreed and we needed to, that was amazing that we even all had the same person.
Right, that we all could
Yeah,
have.
we pretty much kind of, yeah. It was amazing.
So, yeah, so.
Thanks for bringing that up, Gina.
Hey, no worries. I actually questioned it because I'm like, was that just last week or was that 2 weeks ago? Maybe like a lot. The only thing that I have to update on a little bit is the progress of our public health building. I just talked to Kim this morning and they are moving over in a phase at this point in time. I have my public health meeting on Monday and we're gonna actually have it at the new building so we can kind of, as a board, walk around and see the process of how things are going. Hopefully, we're already doing the clinic stuff there, which has been very successful. But who called me this morning that mental health had called her asking about space in our building and wanted a floor plan of the building.
Sorry.
And so
Lacking.
as I was kind of thinking about that, this disability access points from the new disability access points transformation email that I received a while back, it says that a disability access point, a DAP, is a local place that helps people with disabilities, their families and their caregivers find services and support they need, both short-term and long-term. DAPs help by giving information, making plans, making referrals, and checking in to make sure people are getting the right support to live healthy and independent lives. There are 4 agencies designed as DAPs across 7 districts in Iowa. These agencies are part of the Iowa Aging and Disabilities Resource Centers, or ADRC network. So that's encouraging to me that possibly there will be an actual local place. And the fact that they've reached out to our public health to want to know if there'd be some space is maybe some progress, that there will actually be some mental health access point. I might be getting ahead of my cart's way ahead of the horse, but I said, give them my number, and that they may call you, Terry. I said, give them both of our numbers. So if somebody wants to get in there. I did get a hold of HHS and I sent the names of the people that need access to the building for, over in Carroll, HHS, or who is that? Yeah, HHS, for that space that they're gonna use. So we've got that set up that if they need to get in, because what I called over to Carol as soon as we got the tables and things set up to let her know that if they need a place, that building is open from 8:30 to 4, or 8 o'clock to 4:30 every day. And then if they need access after hours for a family, they could let me know and I can let them in until we get their badges ready. But Terry and I had mentioned that they could use the conference room here at the courthouse if they were, one of the reasons that we need that space is if they're in court with a family and they need to go someplace to meet, they could go to our conference room rather than they used to have to go down underneath. So a temporary place to use. So
Has anybody moved over there yet, or is
they're moving over slowly. Our board talked about, closing on a day like a Friday, getting everybody moved over, making sure that everybody knew it wouldn't be a day when we had any immunizations or anything, and then give them that weekend to get themselves kind of settled up and running for business. But that seemed overwhelming to people because of the fact that there's so many different moving parts. And so they talked about this moving in phases. So I believe Monica's group, I haven't verified which group is moving over, but they're tearing it up right now, getting moved. The other thing that's a little bit of an update is Jim Brown had showed our other building last month, I believe it was. And it's some business in Storm Lake that wants to come back and do some measuring with some of their
Get it full.
that's the big push to get. It's hard to show it right now because it's so cluttered and so full of stuff. in so many people that it's gonna be so much easier once all of that is out of there and they can visualize their own entity.
We make this phase move that happen over a weekend?
Huh?
We make a phase move happen over a weekend?
You know, on Monday,
I love
after
that.
we meet and can really get a good feel for where they're at, and it's gonna be easier with the entire board to make the decision on how that needs to really happen. It's hard to just be one person, dictating how.
Possibly, we
everything
got
should
a
go.
dollar waiting on a dime here for.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
and it's just, the building has shaped up so nice, and it's such an asset. And if in fact we can find a place for mental health, and, that room shaped up so nice with the tables and chairs, that I just see it as a true asset for our community. So we're gonna move over there. We'll forget how long this all took, and we'll just move forward. We will forget, we will. We
It'll
will.
take me it'll take me a while.
I won't tell you what I refer to it, but sometimes things are torturous for a while, and then
It's the journey.
you get through, and you get
What are you gonna do after it's all done?
Oh, I'm so worried about that. I'm so worried about that. But I'm really proud of the public health employees and how they've pitched together to get everything going and still keep things running. And
Yeah, they did really well
They
getting out of that
really
Nepal
did.
building, and so that was awesome.
And change is hard. It's hard. And especially when you're in such a moving dynamics of what's all going on in mental health, public health, and all these different changes. And so
In the building.
Just gotta encourage them to cross the finish line.
we are,
Yeah, it's our.
Hit them reins.
Yeah.
Hit the
We
road.
can see it.
and Dave, I'll give kudos to Dave also. He's been over there, hand in hand, helping do whatever he can and keep.
I think he's working on that list. The list
Yeah, the list.
that
got
never
longer.
ends.
Yeah, but that's why our board is going to meet over there, to kind of.
That'll be your first meeting over there.
That'll be our
Because
first
some
meeting
of
over
that can
there.
frankly happen while they're there, I believe,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah, well,
it shouldn't
There
stop
are
them
hiccups.
from getting
there
there.
are, anytime you move, you buy a house and you think everything's great, you move in and you realize maybe it's not. Things are gonna, and we just all have to be patient with the process.
I still wanna throw out my favorite startup line.
Uh-oh.
Hit 'em up, move out. Rolling, rolling.
We are
Gosh
tied.
darn, we're showing our age there.
We are tied. We are, but I think those are all positive things that are going on today. Wanted to beat it a little bit, stop being negative. So, yeah.
Everything.
Yes.
Hi.
I had a few things going on. I'll just start, Monday I had my, ag leadership. And we just use that to set up what we're gonna talk about if we have a meeting. And they're actually having the Midwest meeting, which I'm not going to, but it's in South Dakota. I think it's up Rapid City. I'm not going for that though. So we started working on stuff for the annual conference, which is in July. And, I threw out there, we were trying to figure out what kind of speakers to have. And I threw out there that I'd really like to see something from USDA. Somebody that could come speak about foreign animal disease, since we got screwworm threatening the southern border. Which is not necessarily, they shut off imports of livestock. But the Hispanics are screaming, and I guarantee you Simplot will be screaming because they get a pile of cattle off that border. And you just worry about that stuff getting up in here for bovine and equine, and your whole farm could be in trouble. So I just wanted to know where we're standing on them kind of things and what's the outlook, cause we don't get all the worried about ASF anymore, but I mean, that's still a threat that's out there. So I just said, we haven't talked about biosecurity stuff in a while. The Beagle Brigade, they did good for the ASF, I don't know what do we got to protect us from the screwworm type thing. The last time that was here, Dave, do you remember anything about it? I don't remember talking about it, but it took a long time to get it out of here. It's that goofy little fly.
This your NACO annual conference that
Yeah.
speakers, where's that at?
This year, the annual one's in Philadelphia. which is pretty cool. We're actually staying up north this year instead of going south for a July meeting. But it's also the city of Liberty, so I thought I might be able to do a little wandering in the evening after everything's over, check some stuff out. But in any event, we just talked about things like that. That was the one thing that I brought up. I'm really, I don't know, that was what one of my main committees was animal health and well-being in Iowa Pork. And so, I mean, I'm always interested in that. I mean, I got to know the epidemiologists in Iowa State pretty darn good. So it's an interesting world for me. So anyway, Veterans Affairs. We had a meeting last week. I missed the first third of it getting out of another meeting. They talked about like the home loans and stuff. I mean, making sure that that's in some of the bills, you know, I mean, that like the big beautiful bill or whatever we're calling it. We make sure that there's still stuff in there for the veterans programs, to make sure that they're being financed. And it didn't sound like there's any hatchets heading VA's way. Didn't really sound like it. There might be some, and it's in staffing, where we've got redundant administrative staff. I don't know what they really meant by that, but that's what they're looking into. Maybe there isn't any, I don't know. That would just seem to be some of the stuff they talked about. They talked about the staffing shortages in Congress for the VA. I mean, you went from one thing where you're talking about there might be too many out here in the hospitals, the way it sounded, to shortages up in Congress. Oh, and survivor support services. Oh, and by the way, yesterday was Military Spouses Day. I mean, we have a Veterans Day. At one time I actually got bid on because I mentioned something about our wives that actually keep us from worrying about stuff when we're on deployments, you know, and they said I remember getting barked at by a veteran lady that they have their own day. We didn't have it when I was in, so I didn't even know it existed. So it did exist, it does exist, and it was Monday. That's pretty much it.
Didn't they get a special fund at the last fundraising to help, because there's some individuals from Crawford County being deployed?
Yeah, there's actually gonna.
The money,
Isn't it the Van Wall
Yeah.
lunch that they're
Van Walls
doing?
is gonna have,
instead of raising money for the travel,
yeah,
it's
it's gonna be.
Yeah.
for the
gonna be
honor.
for,
Yes,
And
it's
they
the
did-
port.
They did say
Yeah.
honor flights starting to fall into our time frame now. Vietnam vets are pretty much all,
Opened it up to
Yeah.
first golf.
yeah, first
But it-
golf and, you know, actually like Grenada through the first golf is the next round.
Mhm.
I think that Luis was in and just kind of mentioned that instead of raising money this time, it's gonna be for the support of the
Yeah,
spouses that are
Cause they
being
deploy
deployed.
like May
Because they have plenty of
28th.
money in their honor flight,
Yeah,
and
yep,
so,
exactly right.
so, yep, so that'll be
You're
awesome.
exactly
In
right.
case a furnace goes out or something while they're gone, there'll be somebody there's somebody there to help. So-
You know, and I'll say this, just my past experience with the military and, you know, anybody that's been on active duty can probably attest to it. I'm like my wife even, she was really good at supporting the other wives from our unit. You know, I was one of the NCOs, later NCOs, you know, I was
You're
senior
a
scout, so I was,
concern.
she was expected to do more. Make sure that the wives were taken care of. And I think that the guards really good at doing that when the guys deploy. I mean, the senior leadership and the officer corps, you know, they look after the wives back here so that the guys in port, the husbands. Gotta kind of talk out of my time, right?
Right.
The spouses, there you go.
Right.
The spouses are really looked after well in the family, and they plan events. You know, I mean, I know we even did back in our day, they'd plan family events to get together, cause let's face it, you know, if you're taking care of the family by yourself and don't even have anybody to vent with, it's nice to have the other spouses to talk to and then go do things. Kind of takes a load off your back. You can all sit there and watch your kids run around screaming and hollering at a park or something. But, yeah, I think that the guard will appreciate that, be able to use the the assistants to help plan events. So, yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, then last night we had a EMA meeting. I'll be quick since our engineer's sitting here. Things we went over is he's been just busy as heck doing the prep plans and preps and you know, our comprehensive emergency plans, and we approved a bunch of them last night. We've been going over them. It's gave me not good late night reading material because you end up reading it the rest of the morning if you do that. So you want to read it in the morning when you're wide awake. Just a lot of detail, you know, I mean, he did a great job with all that stuff. It's really. Then there was some discussion about outdoor warning sirens, and this is not a, like, buy them something this year or even next. I mean, it's a creative planning on where we'll need more outdoor warning stuff, but we also discussed, like the Alert Iowa. And there's a thing, I can't remember what he called it, where they can actually, like you do with the Amber Alerts, you can have an alert like that for, like, if it's a tornado, a serious one or something, and you can plug that in. I don't know if that costs, they see the Alert Iowa doesn't cost. But they said they have trouble getting people signed up for that. I said, well, maybe we're just not exhausting the right avenues, you know? I mean, then one of the people that was there said, well, what if we just sent out the deal with the water bill? And then Zach said, I've got a QR code that all they gotta do, you know? That helps most of us that are a little more techie. Some of the older people, especially if you had a flip phone, you might be in a little trouble, but it's another way to make sure that people know about storms and whatever else in some emergency pops up. And you never.
Good try.
Yeah.
You get 70% of the people signed up.
Yeah.
It's a big portion.
Well, and then some of them 70% of people might know, you know,
Somebody who isn't.
somebody that he's an old flip phoner. You know, because those
30%
guys
might be
seem to be
whether
more
we're
resistant to
70%.
change in that regard. So some old farmer that lives alone out at the farm, but he's a flip phoner, you know, they'll get a hold of him, you know, something like that. So, I mean, we do look, Iowa's the most, I like to brag, that's we're more neighborly than the rest of the country, so we look after each other, you know. I might be wrong on that, but I think it's true. But, he's also, looking into a command trailer. They actually designed one and gave a huge break. I think of all the counties around us, we might be one of the few that don't have that emergency management trailer. So, and it's stuff that you could use for promoting stuff. I mean, it can be more than just showing up at a storm site, you know. So that was a discussion. I think that at some point that'll probably be, but my thought was is we doing it in stages, so that, I mean, get some monies put aside because it isn't in the budget, you know. I mean, there might be enough to cover it because they are giving us a significant break on it. Would be a little over 100 for that list price. 30 plus knocked off of that. It was a decent deal. And then we said, we're gonna have our meetings quarterly. You know, we used to just do it once a year and then budget one, quick one, you know, when they did it up here. But we're gonna do quarterly meetings, you know, at least until he's rolling real good. He's already rolling real good. The one thing that he did bring to us, that must have come down from FEMA, is watch out, the grants could really get short. I could make it even harder to get your after disaster money, you know, we'll see. But, that was something he threw out at us too. So that's about all I got. For sure, released, I was sitting on the floor.
Thank you, Ty. Ben?
Yeah, our FEMA gentleman mentioned some of that effect, you know, they're kind of pulling out some data, it's gonna get harder to, you know.
And I don't know how it can
Something
harder, but.
take longer, I don't know.
All right. Sorry. Uh-oh, now I'm in trouble.
Thank you.
Yeah. Still pretty low.
Got a beautiful morning, it's working on our bridge over there in Vale there, they had started over there on the Vale Bridge, that's Wednesday, I believe they moved some equipment in, and they started building. they've begun demolition on the existing bridge.
They're gonna close that road then?
Yes,
It's closed now?
Yep.
Is the bridge completely removed?
Pardon?
Is the bridge gone? They get it tore out?
Not entirely. The existing,
Yeah.
they're working on demoing it right now. So,
Not gone yet.
It'll take them a little bit to bust her up, so, but,
Have you had concerns about the detour? Anybody called you about problems there? Or is-
a little bit of dust concerns,
Okay.
but first week, people finding their way around,
Yeah.
just realizing it, yes, it is in fact now closed. We've had the detour signs ready to turn it, be set up for some time now. We've sent as much notices as we possibly could to area residents and businesses to let them know that, yes, it's upcoming. Don't know exactly what day, but it is coming. And, so a lot of people are just now finding out, oh, yeah, today must be the day that it's closed. So, and it'll settle down to kind of similar to the Dow City
Because,
area.
well, I hadn't gotten any in Dow City. I got several on that, we've got. And so I just thought I hadn't gotten any. Did you get anybody else hear any concerns about the detour? But they did.
No, I certainly you feel for those businesses, because I thought about that at Bucket of Worms, I met a Cocktail Farm Supply Truck, and I'm just like, wow, you don't think about how much it affects these
Oh,
businesses.
oh.
That has to affect them big time.
It affects
That bridge closure.
truck drivers a lot.
Yeah.
Just even Cocktail Road.
Exactly, yeah. From that.
Mhm. The asphalt go up, they're pretty, it is gonna be done before harvest. And, by God, I would have hope, so, they got an early start on it, it looks like they're gonna be.
A couple months.
Ralston before.
I guess around 3 months.
That generally what they take is 90 days, depending on weather and everything, but and does a private business like that's doing that bridge versus DOT doing the Dow City Bridge, is there any difference a lot of times in length of time?
General contractor, contractor, so, I mean, shouldn't make much difference, but if that's just the scale of the project would make the.
Right, depending on the project, or what they're actually doing, if they're trying to do it while allowing traffic, onto half the bridge. I know DOT, they try to keep their routes open as much as possible, so they might do half the bridge. And of course, when you try to accommodate for the traffic, on your job site, it's just gonna take that much longer. But down there, they have her opened up, road closed, they should be able to really go, but,
Good.
but I think they maybe ran into a little bit of a snag or set back a little bit, but they're still looking at 2.5 months, last I knew.
From today's date, or 2.5 months
Last
total?
week, when I
Last week.
learned that, I suppose, so they got some time on that bridge, so. And yeah, we still have our best concerns down that neighborhood, and, we try not to have to blade through when we don't have to, but since you do, it loses its effect pretty quickly, and, but, we'll try and keep up on that. DOT said, apply as you need, to the residences areas there, and they're fine with whatever the county decides for dust control.
They'll reimburse us. They will reimburse us.
Correct, yep.
Do we still have that road closed down there? Can we close, or do we not?
210.
Yeah,
We close it only for the duration where we did that little bit of a repair, but it is open road. We left our type 3 barricades there, to try to deter some through traffic and keep them on the detour route with not to. It deterred them or not, I don't know, but we just left them there too. But no, it's not officially closed. I think we only had it closed maybe the 2-3 days when we did that work, so. We did get the signs up for Arian Avenue to indicate their embargo on in the city, streets there. We had helped them with a little bit of signage on that, and so hopefully that mitigates some of the traffic on Arian Avenue for that respect, so. But yeah, it's still going on, but
You know what the last, on that rail bridge, what's the last work day? I mean, is it, according to the contract, is it like October 1st or before potential penalties start, I mean,
they have 120 working days.
120
Like it's
from from last week or from the day they start, or from the early start date, or?
From the late start date.
From the start date.
I apologize, I don't know what the late start date was.
I'm just curious in case somebody.
Is that usually what's in the contract is hundred and twenty days, is that pretty next?
I think it depends,
It's pretty
pretty common.
typical, the time frame, yeah.
We got a nice plan on, when they start building the new bridge to inspect frequently.
Inspect the new bridge.
We'll just watch their progress.
Especially,
Stop by,
especially pier piling.
keep an eye on their beer pilings.
We know a few, interesting things to be watching for.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we learned a lot from the Ricketts Bridge.
Yeah, so I don't anticipate something like that happening.
Yes, yes, sir. That's my question. All right.
We'll be watching closely. But yeah, they're just getting started over there, doing a little bit of demolition, so nothing overly exciting as of yet, but our project on for the Yellow Smoke, park over there, Yellow Smoke Road and M Avenue, our base stabilization project, we're having a pre-construction meeting today at 10:30. So, it's really just the contractor we'll be meeting with, and possibly somebody from offices with the DOT. But, just kind of, we'll have a little better knowledge of when they're looking at getting started on that, but I think they're still talking about part of July or mid-July for that project. But we'll know more today and, how they plan to approach it. We are providing the traffic control, for that. So I imagine we'll just kind of shut down segments of it as they're going and it kind of almost as a moving operation, but, our grade crews, they're still working up on J Avenue by Pacolas there. They're working right alongside with the bridge crew there. They put in a culvert and riser there by Pacolas there. They're gonna, grade crew will be moved right along the corner on 330th Street to take over some snow borrow areas, like Kenny Goose's place there. And after that, then I believe they plan on moving down south by Buck Grove to finish up kind of where we did with some grading on that dead end dirt road of W Avenue and, really going from that intersection north on, that 240th, yeah. Catching some snow borrow areas on that, so. Now the general direction they're headed, bridge crew, they're gonna finish up on J Avenue there, do a little bit of a culvert extension there, on K Avenue, just south there about a mile, and just extending the outlet of the reinforced concrete box. It should take them like a week on that, and then they're gonna continue on replacing a few, culverts, larger, design culverts that we've had in the yard for some time now. And this time of year instead of, moving on to, before they move on to another bridge, so.
So are those culverts replacing culverts? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, larger drainage area. And any kind of a design for anything over 48 inches, typically we do a survey and design on and get quotes on the larger design diameter pipes. And so we've got quite a few of them in the yard that we've ordered and sitting there ready to do those, but we've just kind of kept on bridges and the culverts that are sitting there ready to go in, so we thought it'd be a good time of year to start getting them in the ground and get some of that out of the yards.
Well, it doesn't rain here, so I guess it makes sense to me.
Don't rain, we don't need them.
It's gonna be Thursday.
Makes their job easier, they're not working in a muddy hole the whole time. Roadside, they'll be mowing this week, later this week possibly, or first start for part next week. Verdine, you never know, he might be out there mowing right now. So, but that is the plan, try and get everything before Memorial Day. We do have received our new dump trucks, we got them down shop. Two dump trucks and today received one of the motor graders, and I anticipate the second motor grader will be arriving any day. I'm not sure, when they're anticipating bringing that one up, but, probably within the week, so. So our 2 dump trucks, 2 motor graders, and, waiting on our spray truck, which we already know that'll be out in July, possibly when we see that, so. I believe fall stopped falling because every time it does, it backs it up. So, but,
Huh. Funny how that works.
we're doing our dust control, for the county right now, where we have our 5 dust control vendors. They've sent us their list of sites. We've shaped them up, last week, put gravel where needed, and we tried blade right ahead of them, right before they put it down, so it's shaped up as it could possibly be, and we might add a few that have been coming in, for the, around our detour over there in Vale that has dust concerns. We're not putting it down ourselves. There's just so many different routes that they can find their way around on the gravels and addresses that we would have to do. The county isn't per se putting the, assuming the cost of dust control, we did say we'd work with them if they wanna line it up with a dust control vendor. We would make sure the site's shaped up for them better, and so they're still lining it up same as everybody else.
So Ben, did we get about the same number of clients that chose to have dust done in front of their place of residence as we did last year? Is it about the same number?
Comparison to last year, I kind of took no, there's quite a bit fewer, tell you
And,
honestly.
and did they gravitate towards one vendor, or is it pretty just evenly dispersed amongst the 5
I
vendors?
suppose there's a couple of the vendors that have, the vast majority of the business, a couple of them, maybe only have a half a dozen, sites that they do, for the most part, there's about 2 vendors that, are.
Have the majority of the
sites.
clients. Okay, just curious.
Are the prices pretty similar between the 5 different vendors, or do they vary enough to?
I didn't really look very closely on how the pricing
Okay.
differences
Kind
are.
of
Just curious.
But
I got
they
it.
do it everyone doesn't.
I've never had it done, but.
Require you to do X number of feet where maybe the other vendor doesn't. And so
That's all
Yeah,
specifically
kind of
laid
read
out.
between the lines and all that.
Right, they have their application forms, so we put their application forms up on our website.
So many feet.
So it's available to them, but they line it up directly with the vendor. So
Okay.
we and they just send us their list of sites, so we can shape it up.
All right.
So,
All right.
and we specify in our agreement for these vendors, to be an approved vendor, that, we specify it to be done in these 2 weeks. That way, we're not chasing our tail, or we're going here and there, different parts of the
Right.
summer, try to accommodate, dust control vendors, so, try to have it as more of an organized unit, so.
Very good.
And then, ISU aggregate research project on, Lloyd Boulevard, they're gonna be doing the work, it's scheduled for June 17th, is when they're gonna be doing the aggregate out there. We're gonna have our guys, the window on the gravel, and bringing, trucking the gravel out there, getting it placed, and then, we'll have a dump truck, a load dump truck to help wheel it. And we'll still locate a water truck for use, but, water truck, packed in with a loaded dump truck, and so we work with ISU on, coordinating all that on the 17th.
Now, is this ISU's plan, or is this what you guys came up with to
They came
try?
up with what they want to, what they're hoping to put down for aggregates. They kind of adjusted it a little bit. They were talking 4 inches of, new material on the road there, which I think they backed that down to 3 when they kind of, so the costs of, what it's gonna be for that material to be going down on the road. But, I think, at this point, I think they're around 2.5 to 3 inches of material that they're paying the county's material. We'll use it out of our stockpiles, but they'll be reimbursing the county for the material that we're using, so.
This is our gravel aggregate.
Right, different mixes of, limestone and gravel. So, they got 4 test sections that they wanna do. One's a bit of a mix of limestone, maybe one's a little more limestone, a little less, gravel. We'll bring out whatever proportions they want, and for them to do their research on, and then we'll get it placed, get it rolled, get it backed in, and road shape back up, and then they'll come out to, I suppose, do their own monitoring of what the strength testing and how it's all done. So,
I went out and drove that the other day. Are we gonna be blading that before they get here to do that? That son of a gun is so rough.
it is, that is.
I mean, that had me, it had the back of my pickup working on it. And all I can think is, you know, we use that, the school buses use it a lot. Kids coming in. And you just start thinking about them driving around. And most of the kids that come in are gravel road kids anyway, mind you, but
It's a
that's
rough,
just,
it's a-
that might be a road that we have a near future plan for after they're done with their testing, what we're doing on the Yellowstone. I mean, that's just,
I
I guess
agree.
it must be heavily used. I mean,
Deloitte
Oh,
Boulevard
it's
is
very
very,
heavily.
yes, yes.
that might be something that we need to look at.
But you'll, after you place the different gravel mixtures, you'll wet it down and then we'll go and pack it in.
Well, we kind of,
Pack it in.
I think that I just want to have a water truck there to help wet it down, that when we're driving across it, just to kind of help get worked in and, it in place, rather than just having 4 inches of dry fluff material, just to try and get it back down just a little bit, you know, from the beginning. But,
So I can like run a roller in there? Running your tire packer?
we could, we have that rubber tire roller, but, I think it's decided that by the time they find a way to turn around, that we can do a better job of the loaded dump truck, so, and, they're fine with anything we can do on this thing. So, good. But
It'd be
yeah,
interesting, Ty, to your point, if that would promote residential development, since you're so close to a community like.
You're
Denison-
tracking me.
Like Denison, if it, you know, even on the Yellow Smoke project, if that would promote the ability, you know, for people that own land there to maybe sell off some lots or
There's
sell.
more of those exurbs and stuff out there,
Right, it'd just be interesting.
horse acreages or whatever you
Right.
call
Be
them.
an
oh,
enhancement.
it's no secret that that Deloitte Boulevard sees a heavy amount of traffic,
Right.
especially during school here, you know.
Like that.
And, it gets bad quick, yeah, but he does, play it quite often, probably more so than, other parts of his route. It just gets that bad that quickly, especially when it's this dry, it just doesn't.
Yeah, this dry doesn't help.
You know, you think about when you watch school buses though, I mean, I think that when they designed them, they actually designed them to create wash. You're right. They're kind of light in the butt, they get to driving and away they go digging up water.
Yeah, so that'll be on the 17th, and then on the 18th, we do have Ground Surfing Summit, so you guys doing that work out there, probably do a little bit of presenting at that the next day. Yes, that's all I've got.
Thanks, man.
Very good.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Oh, one more thing, I did visit with David Gress,
Oh.
regarding, and kind of explained to him how we've handled other roadway upgrades in the past, how the process has all been a scene, but I know his understanding of it, I think he's fine with seeing us doing some of the shaping up on that dirt road, getting it, you know, the geometric.
I think that's all he's asking.
And maybe keeping a little bit of that, you know, the millings that we've been putting on, keeping up on that, I think he's fine with that, and we're fine with that, it is a heavily traveled, you know, through route that a lot of people are finding through there, so, yes, I just want to follow up with you. Perfect.
I appreciate you
Yeah.
following up on that, because he was, very respectfully concerned.
Yep.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I talked to him, man, Trevor.
Talked to Dave this week.
Dave and his oldest boy Trevor.
Okay.
Kind of explained to them how we've done it across the county.
They're okay with that?
They, you know,
Yeah.
they're very,
They're understanding people.
they're farmers.
Yep,
Right.
Common sense.
yep, I appreciate you coming in.
Right, that was Dave's, when they signed up to get it graded, he said, I'll do it, but it's gotta be maintained, so not doing it again.
Yeah. And that's
That's legit,
Sense.
that's legit, you know?
All right.
Okay, we'll move on to mini split for the Assistant County Attorney Office.
Well, now that she's here, how can we say no? I mean,
That's why she's here, putting the pressure on.
When they came into our office and were working in the ceiling, they went to the spiral staircase and just as an aside, told me that there's no way they can connect my office with the rest of the office, and that they, the only resolution they suggested was a mini split. And so then we reached out to Terry, who said, hey, they need a quote. And so we followed up with them several times, and hopefully they sent a quote.
We did. We looked
Yes.
at it and, had a big discussion about mini splitters this morning, just kind of,
Yes, because they talked about,
very popular.
right, the current unit goes out to the west, and they talked about this one going to the north. I did, decibel level readings in my office with the current window air conditioning unit, and, it's when, just in there, it's the quiet library, approximately 55 decibels, but if you turn the, unit on, it goes up to 65 to 67, which is a conversation level, because I always have to turn it off if the phone rings or somebody comes in, or if somebody wants to meet with me. And so it's having multiple conversations at once in a small space is the current level. So I really despise it, but I make do with it. I usually just put in my Bluetooth earpiece, but it is highly inconvenient to take a call and at the same time try to get it turned off and everything. So I would definitely advocate for a mini split, which is
They got
quieter.
remotes too.
They do, because Dave had to bring in the ladder to actually get to it, because it's that high. Apparently, me standing on a chair isn't the best plan.
Yeah, we don't
That's a
want
good
that.
idea.
Yes.
No.
These things.
Especially on rollers.
No, I would use a non-roller one, because these rollers are aggressive.
Yeah.
So did you find out what the decibel level is of the mini split?
No, but we had mini splits at our home when we remodeled, and so I'm familiar with mini splits, and
Not an issue.
no,
Okay.
not an issue.
Generally pretty large.
Or the units
All
outside.
right, we'll get you a price.
Nice and out running. You just-
Yes,
Oh, you guys
and
plan
again,
for it.
I'm glad there's something, but the current window unit is really difficult to work with.
Yeah. That's
Sounds like something we need
I'm
to
pretty sure in our
get
living
done,
room,
need to update.
you can't
Yep.
hear the mini split over my snoring.
all right.
Which I don't know the decibel level that you're
dollar
worried
amount?
about.
Well, bring it in and Natalie can check it.
Might be able to tell.
Yeah,
6820.
no, you're more than welcome to stop by and hear.
I move that we approve the quote for the mini split for $6,820
I'll second
from,
that
what was the company, what was the group? Carol
Control.
Control.
for regular.
Your motion by Craig, second by Gene.
That's presented.
This will
Nothing
be,
further for me.
Okay.
You have it
Of
written down.
course I do.
Okay.
and this,
I was just giving
this
you time
will
to,
be
Thank
next
you.
year's, this will be the next year's.
He's
budget.
courteous.
Probably.
Yeah, so this won't happen.
Cause your mom watches all the time.
Just to let you know, this will-
today.
They were telling me about it, they said there was one down in the veterans office, so I don't know if they were envisioning just moving one rather than getting a new one, but like I said, I don't know what their quote involves.
All right.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I would,
Thank you for
might have
coming
to
in.
fight Tim over that one. though.
Thank you, man.
I mean, you
Well,
can't,
there's one in the main office, but there's one back in that vault too.
oh,
Oh,
I don't know what they're using the vault for, so
okay,
I might have potential.
all right.
something to think
Any
about.
further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any split is.
Make it happen, Cap.
HVAC quote. In our package as well.
Yeah, so it's kind of, options. So the first line, the total investment, system, the LG system labor and materials for a VRF with heat recovery, 69,175. That's one option. The next option is, again, labor and materials like for like, so it would be like the system that's currently there. $35,200. And then the third option is line 2 plus line 3. So the 35,000 like for like plus a mini for the comm center. And that would be, the addition on that would be $11,250. So either 69,175 for the VRF, 35,200 for the like for like system, or the like for like system plus a mini split for the comm center totaling $46,450.
So currently the comp center has what?
Let's see, what's this thing
I
say?
don't even know. Obviously, they don't have a mini split.
Let's see, the meeting room, okay. Control Control Systems is pleased to present you with a proposal for updating an HVAC system for the PDN dispatch. Currently, the meeting room currently has a bad compressor. The system uses R22 Freon that is no longer available and phased out by the EPA. Internal offices. Let's see, heating and cooling will be tied. I don't know what the comp center has. But it's inadequate, whatever it has.
So it sounds to me like the air conditioner in the meeting room is bad.
Yeah, but the VRF with heat recovery, I think would do the whole thing. It'd do the whole lower level. As referred to as the basement, it's not really basement, but it's our law enforcement center. It'd be that, the comp center and the meeting room, it'd be all ducted. Yeah, it takes care of the meeting room, restrooms and hallways also down there.
I mean, do we see if there an advantage to the 69,000 versus the 46,000, I guess, if you did that for the.
So I'm just trying to think through it.
So this says the first option to install LG VRF heat recovery system will replace one air handling unit and its associated ducting. The system will include 3 cassette units, one in dispatch, one in the police chief's office and one in the squad room office. The internal offices will have a ducted unit that will utilize the existing ducting. This unit takes care of, like I just said, meeting room, hallways, restrooms. The indoor heating, cooling units will be tied into one outdoor high efficiency heat pump system. Each of the 4 zones will be independent temperature control to heat and cool simultaneously. Dispatch will be on its own zone to handle the additional cooling needs produced by the electronic equipment. So they will have their own ability.
It certainly sounds like the 69,000 is a far better unit than the 46.
Yes,
It served our purpose better, but
yes.
is it $23,000 better?
Yeah. And both have 10-year warranties.
Yeah, LG units carry a 10-year compressor warranty. The second option is a 5-year compressor warranty and 1-year parts warranty. The like for like system.
And it would go into next year's budget.
Right, it would definitely be next year's budget.
So I'm tracking, very good. Where we at? Fiscally responsible, do we fix what we have and save the 23,000, or do we try to bank on the do we save money by spending the 69,000?
The 69,000 will be far more efficient. I
Right,
don't know how many years to take you to pay off that.
right. No, I know it will be.
You just hope if you shoot 45 and it only lasts 5 years, then you're back to spending
Correct.
69 or more. Doable.
Is it a Band-Aid?
I don't think option 2 is a Band-Aid.
I don't either.
It's like equipment, so it's new, right?
Right.
Yeah, but
It
it's
isn't
right, it's brand new.
it ain't
Just
refurbished.
replacing exactly what we got, and I would assume what we've got has been there a long time. Sorry. I don't know.
Yeah.
Guess we could ask Dave or, I don't know, I'm not, who would know?
What-
I don't know who would know, I guess.
Is anybody recommending, or are they just giving us, I mean,
I don't think they have a recommendation. I guess they have some options to choose from, which I appreciate. Just,
options are
I don't
good.
know if we.
I like efficiency.
So
Yeah,
5 years.
I mean, it usually has benefit in the long run, being efficient.
Yeah.
It seems like it would. Since it would run through the current ductwork, there's 4 different positions or 4 different areas that they could set their own thermometer. As to how they would like their temperature, which
Right.
kind of nice for the worker,
Well, and it's always nice to keep that electronic equipment properly cooled.
right?
You know, all that
Just-
in the communication center, I would.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine how that is.
Stuff. Can't imagine the amount of heat that radiates from that stuff.
It sounds like bite the bullet and put the better one in and hopefully it lasts for the long haul.
I mean, that's kind of the way I'm leaning.
I'm leaning,
For the sake of, I'll make a motion to, option 1, 69,175 BRF replacement package for the, according to this basement PD HVAC.
We have a motion,
I'll second.
second by Craig. Further discussion?
I mean, it'd be nice if we don't have a unit currently similar to that. It'd be nice to get that just to kind of see moving forward. We need to make another decision. We could compare that new unit with, you know, something maybe that's older to see if they like it better, if they see all the advantages of it. I don't know.
Separate units are in the law enforcement.
No
Well,
idea.
I guess
That's what I
just in the whole
think.
courthouse, I was just thinking of
Going down to one.
We're all about to
doing
be
everything
brand
on our
new here
roof.
shortly, so
everything.
this will newify everything about.
I would
We
hope
are
so.
So we have made an overhaul on
21st century.
everything. We don't have
Seems
much
like we've
moving
been doing air
forward to do.
conditioners for 2 years now.
well, we
sir.
need to update.
Okay, yep.
And I think, I just thought since we're gonna be, the way that option 1, it sounds like we'll be replacing maybe 3 or 4 units down to 1 unit, so our chances of having problems are probably
Great point.
less.
Great.
Any further discussion?
I don't believe so.
Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
All right,
Chair votes aye.
But sides, like when you go on the wall,
Yeah,
cool air conditioning, Crawford County Courthouse.
that's where the cool
Next
kids are.
day.
And they always have cold water too, or ice
Free ice
water.
water, wall drug. Coffee, 5 cents, wall drug. Eggs are $2.60.
300 miles to Wall Drug.
all right,
I camped there once.
okay.
Yeah.
I bet you wonder if you're going through Pennsylvania, if we got Wall Drug, 1,800 miles or something.
They might.
Thanks for a long
I
trip.
have a
Will.
good story someday to tell you about
I'm gonna go.
my
to
interaction
Colin
with a
before
law
the next
enforcement
one.
officer on the hills of Wall Drug.
Colin.
Let's take 5 minutes. Gene wants a little bit of time with Colin, which 5-minute break.
5-minute break. Yeah, I got a couple calls I gotta.
I can always use a 5-minute break.
I hear you.
Appreciate it, Dave.
You and I are in that same boat together.
You're a youngin', what are you talking
Correct this time. Hey, they just took a little recess for a couple minutes, so I thought I'd call you quick and see what we're up to. No, I'm 2 o'clock's my load time. So I think it was 2 o'clock, but at 1400. No, I'm at my supervisor meeting right now. Should be out of here. I should be out of here by 11:30. 11:30, pretty sure at the latest. Then I'm gonna run home, grab my truck and head back over here and load. They flip flop loads, you mean, my load is a different number now? Oh, okay. No, I didn't drop the trailer. Yeah, I'll tell them I'll be there as quick as I can, and hopefully I can be there by 1, but we gotta see what time we get out of here. I gotta run up the house, grab my goodies, throw them in my truck, and I'll be over here. I'm already hooked up. Zach was putting some 4 new tires on for me this morning, so I'm ready for the DOT and the whole works. So I got, supposedly they have the inspection stuff going. Make sure I'm a good fool.
Hopefully, they'll get our new air conditioner fixed one of these days.
It's a little warm today.
Good. Okay, expect it to be this warm, this long.
Anyway, tomorrow, the last warm day for a while.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, hopefully some rain.
Now I just get Clifford to call.
Yeah.
That was good. All right, bye.
I tend they didn't really show anything till next Monday, Tuesday.
So much for Wednesday night. Figures, get our hopes up.
Yeah,
It's actually, the Wednesday night one was kind of watching the Omaha stations, as they said it was gonna be north of Omaha, so if you're in these northern tier counties, you know, including Crawford, could get some rain. Omaha not expecting that, must have shifted a little bit further.
They lowered it to 5% chance.
sweet.
So you could get some dew in the morning?
If you're lucky,
If you're-
if you're lucky, the breeze won't be blowing and there'll be some humidity.
No doubt. My dogs came in with dry feet a lot lately.
The crops are sure coming in. I mean, they're
I don't know how
just,
much longer they can last.
But they start to get real pale looking here for too.
So they were already spraying. Post, or spraying beans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some guys doing a one pass, something, I don't know.
One pass only for the whole year,
Yeah, I know a lot of guys.
and they're doing it where beans are that tall.
Yeah, and if they didn't get the freeze down before they planted, they maybe hit them now, but I would wait to do a freeze on beans till they're, tall, but
That's what I'm gonna do this year.
hold off as long as you can. Right before they shake, try to get them right before you canopy.
Even some of our residual, if you don't get a rain or some moisture.
I see ours aren't working.
I got a bean hook you can borrow.
You gotta show me how to run it.
Yeah, you aren't old enough now to run one, are you?
We got a couple of them too. My dad's like, we should take them to the sale barn. I said, Dad, I don't know.
Can't imagine they'd be worth a whole lot, so.
Ty,
Save them to the
Like, what's
Smithsonian,
that?
they might.
I walked plenty of beans. My dad used to get me and my sister fighting. And he'd say, since you're fighting, go walk the beans.
Even if he was spraying, it could have been, that'd been good extracurricular activity.
Little bean barn riding with the neighbor kids, you know? getting in a fight, spraying each other around it, wondering.
Oh
how
my
to get-
gosh, that's what's wrong with you.
That does explain a lot, doesn't it, Terry?
Yeah, but Kyle, remember the old roundup reps, I would say it's safe, and then even say someone would take a drink of it.
But I,
So, you know, I never thought about it. I wonder if you guys were our first automated robot technology of the AI where they identified weeds as. Seems like you haven't really got the idea.
That's a good one.
Right.
Thanks, Aunt Marlene.
yeah,
That was nice of her.
It's always good for a couple dozen cookies a year.
well,
She didn't even ask us to do the road, so that was a good thing.
I took it out, I just took her into the source.
Did you?
Yeah, I said, there's no sense you sitting here to citizens input, because you're gonna end up in the engineer's office anyway.
Yeah. She sure is a nice lady.
There you go.
Good catch.
Good catch. I said you better behave.
I'm getting heckled.
You better behave.
I know.
You're under a
She's
watchful
heckling.
eye.
She's heckling me. Good for you, just heckled my catch. Duh.
That's good.
Oh, shoot. I'm done perfect.
What?
Just an old.
What? Come on, Ty. Don't cut yourself down so much.
Stay humble.
Exactly.
Stay. Well, I like that. That was pretty good. Sure, it's pretty. She's having trouble with her eyes today. Oh, shoot.
It's like your neighbor's new house, must put a safe room in there, huh? Pretty impressed with
I
that.
said to her, I said, I don't think that bedroom's gonna be long enough for Mark's legs. But yeah, that was actually Adam is doing her concrete work, and that's what he's doing at his house. He's building this last week. He put in a safe room. So Kelly thought that's a great idea. It beats me having to leave my front door unlocked during a tornado warning, you know, come on over.
No, I seen that sticking up by you yesterday, well, that's a smart move.
Yeah, yes. That's a lot cheaper than basement taxes, I'm sure.
Yep.
It'd be a pretty good nice house. It didn't look like it was in it at first, but it's
Maybe put a
going.
bumper on the floor for you so you don't go
I
so
do
far.
think I need a bumper pad back here, because if I'm not paying
Oh, yeah,
attention, I'm on
pretty
against
good
the
size.
wall.
It's a nice house up there.
Okay, we're ready to go on to the next
Yeah,
agenda item. Connor, you want to come up here? You can.
Sure. So the next agenda item is to discuss and take action on hiring an investigator to investigate a matter in the county. You know, my advice to the board would be that anytime that certain things are brought to the county's attention, it is in the county's best interest to have certain matters investigated. And it is important to have that matter investigated by an independent third party. So that is before the board today.
Do you have someone in mind? Or-
I have been working with Jack Reed, our HR consultant. He has an individual that he has worked with in the past. He reached out and this person is available and willing to do it. The estimated maximum ceiling cost would be around $5,000.
Where's that coming from? Whose budget?
It would have to,
We don't have the money.
the money would have to be found somewhere. I mean, the board, I don't know if the board has a fund for this. The board could make an amendment if needed.
How soon would those bills come to the county?
I
How
don't-
soon is this starting?
It would start depending on the investigator's schedule, I don't imagine any bills would be immediate. I imagine the bills would come,
Probably would come to next fiscal year, I'm guessing, because we're middle of May now.
yeah, I don't know if it's something that's billed, I can look into that. I don't know if it's billed like on a rolling monthly basis or if it's all tagged together at the end. And that estimated money is this, again, it's the high end. The expectation is that it would not be that much.
Oh, that's the ceiling.
Yeah, that's the ceiling.
Somewhere around. The window level would be nice.
That, I mean, if anyone else has any other questions, but
I mean, to me, it's something that we need to do. And if we need to do it, then we'll find the funds, however we need to find the funds, I mean, we'll get the funds to fund it.
yeah, it is, I'll go further. I contacted, the county through ICAP has 500 free minutes. Or 300 free minutes, 5 free hours with, ICAP's legal advisory team, which is a law firm, Hopkins and Hubner. I reached out to them on this and used some of those minutes. They agreed with this course of action. It is in the county's best legal interest, almost a necessity to have this investigation done, to protect the county. And if I'm being vague on purpose, but that's because the investigation at this point needs to kind of be a little bit more low key. We kind of work against the investigation, talk about it openly at this point. That's not to say that it'd be always under wraps. Of course, there will be a report generated at the end of this investigation, and that report would be available.
No, I think it would be our due diligence to sit this out and see what it comfort that we did something about what was in front of us. Go ahead, tell me.
What would we typically fund something? I mean, this isn't something that we practice every year. I've been here 5 years now, or 4 now. That's the first time we've had to do something like this. So what do we typically expend? What expenditures does this typically come out? Or expenses?
I don't know.
Something like this. I mean, we don't have any reserve. We only have reserves for different things, but I don't know that we have an account.
The only time I would ever remember that we've had anything similar was, I think, when we've had lawsuits with secondary roads, and I don't know if
There's
that.
line items for legal things, there's
Yeah.
line items for, yeah.
Isn't that the attorney's office?
No, it's not, just in the attorney's office. Could be a-
If you guys want to give me it, I'll take it.
You should- you have
We
something
know.
there. All right.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's, take advice from council that I think I'll make a motion that we,
whom are we hiring? Can we say that? Or
Yes,
Can you not say that? It
No,
hasn't
that's
been
fine.
mentioned
No,
yet.
that's good. And I'm glad you said that because, if a stranger from out of town comes poking around, people need to know
Right.
that it's
I mean, we can only
sanctioned.
be vague so
Literally.
far.
That's right, this person's name, it would either be Jack Reed, but I don't think it would be him doing the investigation, but he might facilitate. And then the person's name would be,
So who's this person work for?
Independent.
he's an independent, my understanding is he's employed as a police chief and he does this as kind of a contract.
We'll need
worker.
liability insurance, we'll need 1099
I'm sure he's
in
got
order
all
to
that.
pay him.
Good point. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, that's what I do. Try, how about that?
Person's name is John Thomas. With no H, right?
No H and John or no H and Tom?
Good question. No H in John.
Oh,
oh, well, I had
I
it
did it
wrong.
wrong, I did no H in Thomas, which looks really
That's how I
weird.
first saw it.
Good call.
Well, my motion will be hiring John Thomas as independent investigator for internal matters.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second by Craig. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes
I abstain from the vote.
aye. Thank you.
My turn.
Which brings us on to our next agenda item.
About done, I'm about out of paper.
Almost, I think we're getting the middle of May, you gotta stretch it out.
Did we put enough money in the budget for you?
I don't
for
know, I'll
more
just take it out of the
tablets?
board's
I
budget,
got it.
don't worry.
At home.
I'll get it
You're
covered.
writing on
Don't
the
you
back.
sweat it.
Maybe you can save it by writing on the back.
Don't you worry.
All right,
Oh,
Next one is.
so the county is
Sorry.
currently embroiled in an employment law suit. We've discussed this matter in closed session. My advice to the board would be to hire a specialist on this matter. Employment law can be a finicky thing. And I believe the county would be best protected to hire a specialist in this area. Not to mention that in the petition for suit itself, I am a named party, or not, I'm not party to the suit, but I am a potentially named witness, which would conflict me and my office out from litigating this matter for the county. I've reached out to a couple different firms and solo practitioners. Again, I believe, so this potentially might be an ICAP claim. So when I reached out to our local agent, they didn't believe and advised that it probably would not be covered, but I reached out to ICAP themselves and they sent a claimant form, which I filled out and sent back. They're gonna review it and it could potentially be covered by our insurance.
Is that 100%, you know, or?
We don't know yet. I need to just hear back from them.
Just to hear back,
Yeah.
okay.
And then on that point,
That's assuming we did something. Right?
that would just be covering
The lawyers?
the lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, my understanding from ICAP is this law firm, the same one I referred to earlier, Hopkins and Hubner. They cover the vast majority of any employment law disputes of ICAP members. So I reached out to a Brent Hinders, from the Hopkins and Hubner firm. And he advised he'd be willing, to take on the case. Seems very knowledgeable in the area, considering that, he would, if ICAP did cover the fees, the attorney for this matter, it's likely they would send Brent down here anyway. So in the event, of course, that they cover it, it would be Brent. The event that they don't cover it, I would advise to hire Brent Powell as an independent counsel.
So right now, do we want to just wait until we hear back, or do we want to name him and appoint him as our counsel, or?
Yeah, that's a great point. I suppose we could afford to wait.
Do we have time to, according to timeframes?
I've reached out to plaintiff's attorney. She understands that with government, things have to happen, after public meeting, and it can't just happen on the fly, like with a private party. She is willing to give some leeway on our timeframes. And I, in the meantime, can file things to preserve our timelines accordingly. I suppose this agenda item would cover, much like with purchase agreements, the board takes collective action to authorize. The board takes action to authorize the chair to sign off on the purchase agreement once it's made. Suppose something similar could happen here, where the board could authorize the eventual hiring if it needs to be. That would give a little more, allow the board to be a little more reactive, yeah, and not have to come back another week.
And in this suit, I mean, it'll be more communication between the attorney that we would hire and the other side's, I guess, attorney, so he wouldn't really need to be here specifically, right? Much?
No, I mean,
No, he can handle this from his office no matter where it is.
unless there's a physical hearing that he would need to be here for, like the trial, a trial if it comes to that. But other than that, with Zoom and remote appearances these days, there's a lot that people can cover. And in my experience with the court, especially with out of town counsel, if it's not a meeting or a hearing that they have to be here for in person. Typically, if there's gonna be presentations of a lot of exhibits and stuff like that, or witness testimony, they'll want people, it's just
That's where-
easier to do in person than remote.
But regardless, due to the nature of calling me a potential witness and his office being conflicted out, we will have to have
Yeah,
some.
I think it's
We
important
will.
to get that out there today, that the board is prepared to hire that counsel, just like we do with every other thing that we're anticipating, and have that approval set up, that that's what we're gonna need to do.
It's good for the opposing side to see that.
And whether it's under their umbrella to help cover those fees or not, he still
We
needs.
still-
right, yeah, you still need
Good
to,
point.
Yeah.
you still need to hire a counsel.
I don't think
And,
it's an
and,
option.
and whether or not ICAP covers it would be a financial thing down the road.
I make a motion that we, go ahead and get that prepared, so we know what we're doing down the road. If by chance we need it, we know what we're gonna do and not wait any longer to,
Hire Hopkins and
I agree.
What's his name?
I think you should name the firm.
Brent Hinders,
Hinders,
Hinders of Hopkins and
Hopkins and Hubner.
please say it so everybody understands it. Get all those names right.
Brent Hinders from Hopkins and Hubner.
Thank you. That's
we have
my
a motion from Gene to hire.
And of course, the board, I would encourage the board to have a meeting with Brent, or have a select committee have a
Zoom
meeting.
meeting.
A Zoom meeting.
Zoom in with us.
You know, I feel comfortable with Brent, but of course, he's gonna be the county's legal representation, so it's important that you feel comfortable with Brent.
Never met him, but
We officially have your permission to hire.
Yes, yes, yes,
Make sure.
absolutely.
I don't know if we covered that.
No, thank you, Todd. Especially considering that, I'm a potential witness, in the suit. So,
Well, we have a motion on the floor,
I'll second.
second by Craig. Further discussion, I do have if we sit down and meet with him and get this ball rolling, that would be under closed session.
it would be to discuss the legal strategy. Yeah, that would be
First meeting.
absolutely closed session.
Okay.
But from this point on, now you would be taking the legal advice of Brent on this matter.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, guys.
all right. Now go back to
So Colin, I guess you're, as the county attorney, when you recommend that we hire outside counsel, and we are going to do that, do we still run anything by you, or do we just treat this guy as, and his recommendations?
We probably should.
I mean,
Right.
as his recommendations, that's what we should do, and you're
Right.
saying, hey, what this guy recommends, you're fully 100% behind it, not even knowing what he's recommending.
I don't even have a place at the table. for it.
Okay,
It would
And you'll
be,
bring him up to speed, though.
yes, I've already briefed him up. Yes, I've already sent him the petition.
so I guess from the board's perspective, I won't want to get conflicting, this guy's recommending.
There will be no
this,
conflicts
county
on this
attorney
matter.
Says, oh, boy, I don't know if I
He
do.
will go to
Yep.
Brent
All right.
Hinders.
Yep.
Okay.
And he will start the time clock.
Yes.
Just, you know,
Yeah.
it's your Google auditor, I will say that.
And he advised that he sends out monthly bills. There'd be no initial retainer. And he sends out his bills monthly.
Right, comes out of your budget, being you recommended it, right?
We should have
If you
payroll
can-
left
if
for
you
you
can-
guys.
if
We'll
you
just
can find it in
pay them. No big deal.
Okay,
Okay. Move on
Thanks,
to,
thanks, Colin.
thanks, Colin.
Yep.
thanks.
Citizens input. We have nobody in the crowd here, but on Zoom, Cindy, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to add something else. This has nothing to do with the state, but this is federal, so this is our next level of fight. Today, the Ways and Means Committee is meeting at 1 o'clock And on their agenda is to allow CO2 pipeline operators to pay $10 million for an expedited permit. If this passes, they would have the right to override any local, state, county moratoriums, anything in their way to put in CO2 pipelines. It's basically federal eminent domain, which is
So
a
it can be
very,
bought,
I'm sorry, what?
so it can be bought.
They can be bought for $10 million. They can get an expedited permit, which is very scary. So that, I mean, it completely, we think that the state was overriding the local control. Now the federal would override everybody's. I mean, the fights that we've been doing for 3 years is nothing if this goes through. So
So
anyway,
Cindy, I'm not overly familiar, I guess, with how the federal government works, but when you say it's in the Ways and Means Committee, does that mean that a legislature had to sponsor it to get it in there? Or can you see where that came from?
that's a good question, Craig, and I don't know the answer. I just know that that's the committee. And it's all part of Trump's bill, this big, beautiful reconciliation. I don't know the name of the bill, but the bill that they're trying to get passed before Memorial Day. So if it
So it's
passes,
a rider in the bill.
I'm sorry?
So it's a rider in the bill.
Yeah, so if it passes the Ways and Means Committee today, then it will be out for a vote on the floor at the end of next week, because they really want to push this bill through. So it just came to my attention yesterday, so I was at the Capitol until midnight last night, so I really don't have a whole lot of information. I haven't had a chance to research it. I just know that the committee's meeting at 1 o'clock this afternoon, so I guess I'll be on Zoom this afternoon. So but I'd rather be outside today since I was not. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of update you guys on that and just give you a heads up that that's going on. So I think it's a really scary thing. They're telling everybody to get a hold of Feenstra and, you know, your representatives on the federal level to put our input into this. Especially, I think that they would have the power to just override all state and county. That to me is very, very scary.
Does anybody exclude that on a constitutional level?
Has
If they
anyone
could
what?
Maybe we need to explore that on constitutional.
Well, I agree, Ty. I don't know how they're even getting away with doing this, and I'm sure we'll end up in court, but you know how that goes. It's, you know, and how long will that take to get to the courts? And I don't know. To me, it's just, I was shocked when I read it, and it's like, we knew that federal eminent domain was on the horizon and it was something that was being talked about, but to have it now front and center this fast is scary. I mean, we have people on our group that have went to Washington DC and talked, but I do know that certain pipeline companies have already spent millions in lobbyists in Washington DC. So it's a
That's,
different way.
Cindy, it is completely scary and crazy that it seems to go against everything in our American fabric to go, that we're for sale like that.
Exactly.
Talk a lot about, we don't have property rights, we don't have anything.
So that would squash anything South Dakota and Nebraska have already passed. Then,
Yes.
obviously too then, so that would just green light this thing and you guys would just have no
Green light.
recourse for nothing.
Exactly. They said, we were talking yesterday after this came out, you know, the lawyer and I won't go into totally, but they said, yeah, that would be the end of the deal. It would be, we're done. So yeah, I don't know who could, I have no idea on the federal level how you even fight it. Do you bring a lawsuit against the United States of America? I mean, I don't even know how you fight it.
$10 million, we
To
could.
the US government.
That's what you do.
It sounds like one of those bills you gotta pass it to see what's in it.
Doesn't it, Dave? Yes, I agree.
They're all on that day,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I think all of them. The
I
more
know.
you watch, the more you think that's.
I know it.
Cindy?
Because it's going to be a huge bill, because this is all of that. I keep wanting to say reconciliation, but I don't think that's the right term for it. It's Trump's big bill that has the spending, and this is just a little segment in there. So if any of you can get more information or have more information on it, I would really be interested.
Gene,
My question is, so for $10 million, that's just to get their application expedited. but who actually gets to keep that money and who, will we ever know who came up? I mean, who, well, you probably know where the money's gonna come from, but where's that money go? Who-
I have
who's-
no idea.
What basket does that fill up?
I'd love to know that answer, Jean. I do not know. I
You
just
said
hate
back-
the thought that,
What?
You said back pocket wrong. You said back. That's what was my question. Where does that $10 million go?
You just, and who came up with that amount and who agreed? I mean, did they get together in a back room and say, well, for 10 minutes, because there's nothing publicly, that's the first anybody's ever heard of that, isn't it? Just like yesterday popped up.
yeah, the emails came out that it was happening and, you know, all the states who are North Dakota, the South Dakota, Illinois, all of those, kind of the leaders of the states that are fighting the carbon pipelines came out and said, this is happening, call your senators. And it was a big announcement to kind of educate people. But like I said, I haven't had time to really go into it, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of this happening.
I mean,
next-
Cindy, what I found here, by political, and I think it's Energy News, but it's talking about the bill, and it just says another provision would allow other natural gas infrastructure developers to receive a quote expedited permitting process from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission under the Natural Gas Act if the applicants pay 10 million or 1% of the project's projected cost. It doesn't say whichever is higher or lower. And it says the proposal eyes permitting being completed within 8 years and would exempt projects from certain litigation. A similar timeline and fee would apply to carbon dioxide, oil, and hydrogen pipeline permitting. So you are correct.
So darn, I kind of wish I wasn't on this one.
Yeah, darn it, you wanted to be
Something
corrected,
that's been
didn't you?
Established already.
Yeah.
Cindy, thank you for advising us on this and letting us know that this is happening.
Sure, anytime. And the other thing I was gonna point out too, not point out, but just FYI. Yesterday, there was 11,000 views for the Senate debate all day yesterday and the debate last night, which I thought was rather interesting. Usually it's maybe under 1,000 for a week. And so this is a pretty hot topic for the state.
It is.
So anyway, that was just a point of interest. So thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you, keep us informed.
Okay.
Anyone else on Zoom have anything? Natalie?
Natalie would like you to know that Ty was on his best behavior today because he knew you were on.
Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have a
Oh,
citizens thing.
go ahead, sorry.
I've been working with Reed on the Dawn lot purchase agreement,
Yep.
which is 99.9% finalized. Was one little hanging bit of information that I'm working with Reed about. Passport action, already authorized the chairperson to sign off on it. So I've been kind of refreshing my email because I had emails with Reed going this morning. I don't know if he's gonna have a chance to reply while we sit here.
So I'm walking into the courthouse and we started meetings.
Oh, so maybe I'll just walk up and see if I can find him upstairs.
Yeah, I see him walk down. the
Oh,
stairs
wow.
maybe 10 minutes ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
But, yeah, maybe Dave, afterward, we'll just go over this. They've already signed it. It just requires the board chair signature. Oh, I think he just sent an email. Okay, no, I think we're good to go. So here's the purchase agreement. It's important to note, and I think the board knew this when they agreed with Jim. This is an as-is purchase. If you look at the top of the last page, paragraph 20, additional provisions. I mean, the county's buying a parking lot as is. Just, that's it.
Simple as that.
With that. Okay. So it's the, oh, it's 100%.
Very close.
Alan?
Yep, I'll do this. And I will get this to you. There are 3 different trusts involved,
Oh, okay,
and so, we'll get you what you need to cut.
okay.
Cut
How
checks.
much for
Yeah.
each one? Okay, I appreciate that.
All right, is that
So you
it?
don't need to stop over.
No, that was it. If, and Terry, I will be in touch with you.
You bet.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
I'd like to just point out, the early monks are early Americans. The 3 probably the most vocal advocates of property rights for American citizens. The first, our founding father, George Washington, who was a surveyor and understood property as well as anybody, was a landowner. And Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. Of the Constitution, right? And Jefferson, I quote from him, he believed that it was a fundamental, that's not necessarily all over the paraphrase. Believed that it was a fundamental human act. And I think that that's, the Constitution protects that. Also, James Madison, the government is instituted to protect property of every sort, as well as that which lies property hands of the landowner or the individual. And I just think that those are important things to remember, that this country was founded on the ability for a person to go out and establish himself and have his own little domain, God's earth to protect. And that's always been my main issue with this whole, my main point of this whole issue is property rights. I think that's really the only real argument.
Absolutely.
I think business can be business. That's also a property right issue. But you know what? If it's infringing on somebody else's property rights. Yeah. And you know, it's not, I mean, I even sometimes wonder if you got a question on a government, but I understand the infrastructure of the United States and the stuff and how that helps the greater good of our citizenry. But, you know, for private industry, I think it's important to point that out, that our founding fathers are probably chirping a little bit. What are you doing?
Oh. Every day.
Yes, sir.
Well, Cindy, while you're hopefully still here,
She is.
I just wanted to ask you about, I also just brought up that this big, beautiful bill starts to eliminate some of those clean energy tax credits. And I know the ethanol or the carbon people are the 45Q tax credits. And this article states that the 45Y, 45E, 45W, 45X, I didn't know there were so many, but they're gonna get phased out a lot of times by 2031. So, and it said that this list that they're listing here is not exhaustive, so meaning there's more. And I didn't know if that was a area, I guess, that I would, if I was you, see if they're gonna try to eliminate the 45Q tax credit.
We have been, we've been trying to do that for a few months. We've been notifying things. There is actually contingency that went to Washington DC to meet with folks. So yes, we have definitely been trying to eliminate it because we know that is the root of the whole thing. I'm sorry, you don't believe it's not for climate change. It is for that money.
You're 100% correct.
And without that tax credit, a huge deterrent.
Exactly. The wind turbines, pipelines, solar fields would all cease to exist. They took the tax credits out. So.
Exactly. And Craig, to your point, I have no idea what the Y, E, and W. I know the 45Z.
I didn't know that there were so many. I just thought it
I
was
didn't
45Q.
either.
They just pulled Q out of the, not, you know, out of the sky. I didn't know that it was actually because they ran out of letters in the alphabet.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna
I
need to
mean-
look those up.
Like the 45Y and E, it says our clean energy investment and production tax credits. The 45W is pertaining to electric vehicle credits. The 45X is advanced manufacturing credits, so
Which
Oh, we spend a lot of money on our tax credits, don't we? Our-
45
Give a lot of
is
money.
new efficient home credits.
If someone paid taxes, maybe we all wouldn't have to pay so much.
goes back to,
I
we,
wrote a check.
we know
But-
that the wind turbines don't pay their fair share.
They only pay 30%, they max out.
Then they get, and they
At 10
use
years.
tax dollars to get built, and then they don't pay taxes.
Kind of sad, isn't it?
It's really bad.
And you
It's
wonder
not getting any
where
better.
all these parties get money from to run their campaigns.
Yeah, now we know.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Cindy.
Very interesting. Thank you, thank you. All right, I have a motion on the
I'm done.
table to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Get them.
All right.
Didn't know that.
Chair votes aye.
Okay.
I miss that clock up there so much.
I
It's
do
like,
too.
I do too. I keep looking
Yeah,
back.
we're gonna
there.
look, we're gonna get some of that stuff.
Do I have to buy it?
Sorry.
I have to buy it.
I do like your calendar, way better.